to rehearse. It's been a very short period of time.
Oh, is that they
But they were
oh, it's so good. Can you really rehearse? Actually, not this week. We rehearsed a week, just a week. Last week.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Annette Lovell, and I am your worship associate today. We are bringing you today's service with the Reverend Kevin Carson and our media tech Vic Allen in the back. We are a spiritual community that supports choice. We choose to gather in a sanctuary on Sunday mornings, or watch our services streaming online, or we choose to get our spiritual nourishment from friends, skiing, meditation, or staying home and reading a book on Sunday mornings. We choose to fight for others through social justice and activism, or we choose to protect our sanity by turning off all of the media feeds for a while and trying to find peace. We choose to believe in a higher power in countless forms and ideas, or we choose to believe in nothing outside the miraculous nature of ourselves, science, and the mystery of this earth. We choose through our democratic process what to stand behind as an organized community, even if it is not your personal choice. We have myriad choices to make every day, and this spiritual place tries to support each of us individually along the way. So we thank you for choosing to be with us today, and we are blessed by your presence, and all are welcome. We would like to start our time together with a few announcements. There are not many. First of all, the book group is meeting this Wednesday. So we have mingled, we have said hello. Let us prepare for worship with a few moments to just sit quietly, listen to the ringing of the peace bowl. While I strike the bowl, pay attention to your breath, settle your thoughts and your emotions. I will ring it 3 times. We covenant together each Sunday, striving to be better humans in relationship with others and ourselves. Please recite the words in the order of service along with me this morning. Love is the spirit of this community, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And our chalice lighting this morning is brought to us by Alice Naisman. She says, in a time of uncertainty, when everything around us is changing constantly, each day, new developments, rising numbers, changing guidelines, when the world we live in suddenly seems upside down and topsy-turvy, we light our chalice to remind ourselves of grounding in our faith. We remember that the flaming chalice came into being as a beacon of hope during World War II, a secret symbol that offered help. So in the midst of it all, we wrap ourselves in the warm light of a familiar flame, a reminder of the strength that emerges when we come together in community.
Good morning. Our call to worship this morning comes from the Reverend Margaret Kipe. As surely as we belong to this universe, we belong together. We join here to transcend the isolated self, to reconnect, to know ourselves to be at home here on earth, under the stars linked with each other. Our opening hymn this morning is number 42, Morning So Fair to See. Please rise in body or spirit. Our reading this morning comes from the book The Sacred Depths of Nature by Ursula Goodenough. Our story tells us of the sacredness of life, of the astonishing complexity of cells and organisms, of vast lengths of time it took to generate their splendid diversity, of the enormous improbability that any of it happened at all. Reverence is the religious emotion elicited when we perceive the sacred. We are called to revere the whole enterprise of planetary existence, the whole and all of its myriad parts, as they catalyze and secrete and replicate and mutate and evolve. And so I profess my faith. For me, the existence of all this complexity and awareness and intent and beauty and my ability to apprehend it serves as the ultimate meaning and the ultimate value. The continuation of life reaches around, grabs its own tail, and forms a sacred circle that requires no further justification, no creator, no superordinate meaning, no purpose other than that the continuation continue until the sun collapses or the final meteor collides. I confess a credo of continuation. And in doing so, I confess as well a credo of human continuation. We may be the only questioners in the universe, the only ones who have come to understand the astonishing dynamics of cosmic evolution. If we are not, if there are others who know, it is unlikely we will ever encounter one another. We are also, whether we like it or not, the dominant species and the stewards of this planet. If we can revere how things are and can find a way to express gratitude for our existence, then we should be able to figure out with a great deal of work and goodwill how to share the earth with one another and with other creatures, how to restore and preserve its elegance and grace, and how to commit ourselves to love and joy and laughter and hope. It goes back to in the end to my father's favorite metaphor. Life is a coral reef. We each leave behind the best, the strongest deposit we can so the reef can grow. But what's important is the reef. When I drive down from Rexburg to Idaho Falls on Highway 20, I often notice a couple of billboards on either side of the road just north of the county line road exit. One, which recognizes the importance of wolf protection and conservation, especially in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, says, "Don't silence the howl forever, relist wolves." And that always makes me happy when I see it. It's good to know that plenty of people in Idaho understand the important role wolves play in the web of life and want to see them protected as an endangered species, despite living in a state where the government wants to exterminate 90% of our wolf population. The other billboard, which promotes some fundamentalist Christian group, says, "In the beginning, God created." And next to the message is a typical image showing silhouettes of, in a stair-step evolution of humans from earlier primates with a circle with a slash through it. There's also a 1-800 number listed if you want to hear their claim to the truth. Clearly it is a message from some group that believes in the literal, inerrant interpretation of the Bible as God's Word. And they reject the science of evolutionary biology as being the mischief of the devil or something. It isn't shocking, of course, since Darwin's theory of evolution has been one of the favorite targets of fundamentalist Christians for more than a century. In fact, this July will mark the 100th anniversary of the trial formerly titled The State of Tennessee versus John Thomas Scopes, which is commonly referred to as the Scopes monkey trial. And to add a little historical perspective, my own grandfather was a spectator at that circus-like event in Dayton, Tennessee as a young man. It wasn't that long ago. Science has come a long way over the last 500 years, but for many people, there's still a tension between science and religion. But does this need to be the case? Obviously, my answer is no, but unfortunately, not everyone agrees. Lots of folks around the world, and especially here in America, it seems, are skeptical of science when it challenges their religious beliefs in some way. Though extreme skeptics about the nature of reality who believe things as absurd as a flat earth are a small and shrinking minority, there are far more people who don't accept the idea that humans represent one branch in the evolution of primates on Earth, that we are animals who share much of our DNA and ancestry with other species, and not a special creation made in the image of God and set apart from all others. And where do we draw the line with respect to which animals may or may not have a soul? Pardon me. Darwin's theory was published more than 150 years ago, and a mountain of DNA and other scientific evidence has since filled in the details to confirm the truth of evolutionary biology. But religious beliefs can be a powerful tool and force, for better or worse. For some people, evolution is a clear contradiction of the story of human creation contained in religious scriptures. And thus, if the scriptures are wrong about that, it suggests they could be wrong about other things and not the ancient and infallible Word of God. Accepting the science of evolution could bring their whole worldview tumbling down like a house of cards. So they choose to simply ignore the evidence and cling to pre-scientific beliefs. Others aren't comfortable with the idea of humans being just another species of animal, even if we are special because of our intelligence or in other ways. They don't like the idea of being embedded within a wondrous web of all existence. And part of this has to do with the concept of the soul, some aspect of us that transcends death. Most people do not like to think too much about animals having souls, except perhaps when it comes to beloved pets, especially if they are fond of eating them. If we too are animals, do we still have a soul and the hope for some kind of life after death? And again, where do we draw the line with respect to which animals may or may not have a soul? Does a whale or an elephant have one with their large brains? Does a dog or cat or other mammal that possesses an ability to communicate with us on some level have a soul? How about a barnacle or one of the multitudes of single-cell organisms? Do all amoebas go to heaven, even the ones that can cause human deaths? Some cultures consider the plants and animals and even the rocks and soil to be relations and worthy of our respect. But in the Western mind, we have become accustomed to seeing the world as either human or other. This is true in both religious and scientific thinking, so it is easier to ignore such uncomfortable theological questions. Being anti-evolution often leads to skepticism about other accepted scientific evidence such as the age of the earth and human-caused climate change. And more recently, there is an alarming increase in the rejection of vaccines and some other medical interventions. And the advance in this age of the internet, which is of course another product of science, it seems that unfounded opinions and conspiracy theories continue to gain traction, and there is a growing distrust of science and scientific expertise. Far too many people, including some that I know, view the world as if you must choose between science and religion. as if there is no middle ground. This is very unfortunate, and for religious liberals, it is clearly detrimental to our aspirations for making the world a better place. How can we possibly tackle a challenge like climate change when so many of our neighbors are skeptical about the fundamental science, choosing to believe that it is either politically motivated or simply an unproven opinion? It saddens me that so many people do not understand the way science works and are stuck in this binary thinking. Because for me, and for many other people, the wonders of science continue to reveal a cosmos that offers a virtually unlimited source of awe and wonder. And when we appreciate our embeddedness within the web of all existence, including our place within an incredibly complex web of reciprocal relationships, the cosmos presents a moral framework that does not depend on ancient scriptures or the human imagination. In short, nature, whose mysteries are revealed through science, can be a tremendous source of spiritual inspiration. If you read the information on our website about today's service, you will have seen that we are one of now 153 congregations in 37 states, representing a variety of religious traditions that are participating in an annual event called Religion and Science Weekend, which is organized by the group The Clergy Letter Project. It began in 2006 as a focus on evolution, so each year, Religion and Science Weekend is celebrated on the Sunday closest to International Darwin Day, which, as Marty said, occurs on February 12th, the anniversary of Darwin's birth. In recent years, they have chosen a slightly different theme each year, and this is how they described this year's event. Our 2025 theme, Religion and Science, Living in Awe, celebrates the amazing transcendence that can occur via some serious study of both religion and science. Our lives are embraced by realities without and within. Gifts of science open us for the amazing truths of our physical world. Gifts of religion invite us to reflect on our meaning and purpose. Both gifts incite wonder about the reality and potential of life, personal and communal. We live daily in awe of both reality and mystery. Religion and science work together to nurture us in thanks for the gift of life. The event tries to be neutral with respect to religious beliefs. So the language focuses on general religious concepts like transcendence, meaning, and purpose. But it shouldn't be a surprise that these lines of text could easily be part of some Unitarian Universalist document or something from a religious naturalist or humanist author. Unitarian Universalists have long embraced the discoveries of science with an appreciation for how they reveal the transcendent awe and wonder of the natural world. We have many different spiritual beliefs among our ranks, but we are a both-and faith that does not see a contradiction between science and religion. And in fact, as I've already mentioned, science has revealed incredible things about our cosmos that should fill us with awe and wonder no matter what we believe about God, salvation, enlightenment, or most other religious ideas. Just think about what we have learned about genetics and molecular biology, the quantum nature of reality, or the almost daily influx of new discoveries from the James Webb Space Telescope. I find it incredible, for example, that within the estimated 20 to 25,000 genes that make up our DNA, humans and chimpanzees share 98% in common. That means that only about 500 genes determine all the characteristics that make us either a human or a chimp. Only 500. And if that doesn't surprise you, how about the fact that humans and mushrooms share 67% of the same DNA? 2/3 of our DNA reveals our common ancestry with fungi. Can there be any doubt that we evolved on Earth and swim in a sea of interrelated species? And if we look at the vastness of the cosmos and wonder about the presence of extraterrestrial life, does this not stir the imagination and instill a deeper appreciation for how special life on Earth really is? The gifts of science complement our gifts of religion and invite us to reflect on the amazing truths of our physical world and on our meaning and purpose. There is a reason that I say Scientific American is my favorite theological journal. I could probably find something for a sermon in every issue. Embracing the unfolding discoveries of science may require us to let go of some of the trappings of religion, including the idea that ancient stories contain historical or scientific truth. But I believe this does not diminish religion, but actually improves it. It introduces something of the scientific method of testing and validating ideas in our approach to religion, which has long been stuck in the notion of merely accepting the truth of inherited beliefs. This may be new to the average churchgoer, but philosophers and theologians have been doing this for hundreds of years. Our Unitarian ancestors, including, by the way, Charles and Emma Darwin, were particularly interested in applying reason and rationalism to religion, especially after being exposed to the so-called higher biblical criticism that developed in Europe during the first half of the 19th century. Scholars like the German theologian David Friedrich Strauss, for example, tried to find reasonable scientific explanations to account for the miracle stories in the Bible. He offered his theories in his 1835 book, The Life of Jesus Critically Examined, which, as you might imagine, was greeted with both praise and condemnation. But while such efforts were an important step in demythologizing the Bible and opening Western thinking to a broader appreciation of religious ideas, there is still value in the cumulative product of world religions, whether we agree with their propositions or not. The multitude of religious ideas that have evolved in the human journey are a beautiful product of our intellect and different experiences of the sacred. And ancient stories can still hold mythical truths that are at least as relevant to human existence as the latest scientific findings. Both sources offer us gifts that incite wonder about the reality and potential of life. Science also provides us with a new sacred story that Thomas Berry called the Great Story, and Brian Swim and Mary Evelyn Tucker called the Journey of the Universe. It is the 13.8 billion year story of cosmic evolution, beginning with the Big Bang and continuing through the evolution of life on Earth, including us. It is an amazing and beautiful story that scientists like Carl Sagan and Neil deGrasse Tyson and others have attempted to popularize. But unlike traditional sacred stories, this one is rooted in science, testable, and open to revision. The great story is not dogmatic, and in fact, recent discoveries from the James Webb Space Telescope appear to be forcing some fundamental revisions in our theories about the early universe. Not many centuries ago, challenging the accepted sacred story could get you burned at the stake. But with this sacred story, we can be excited about new scientific discoveries that may translate into new religious understandings about the nature of the universe and our place in it. It is hard to imagine how our story will continue to change as science explores the unending mysteries that surround us. Just think about how little we know currently about consciousness and memory, not to mention the possibilities of artificial intelligence and extraterrestrial life. Or think about how little we understand about the way genes work in the presence of enzymes and other biological factors, the fundamental processes of life. We have countless lifetimes of mystery yet to explore. It is worth noting that science is beginning to shed light on the very awe and wonder we experience. And it is possible that our brains are simply hardwired to experience spiritual feelings in response. And some studies suggest that some of us are more genetically inclined than others to experience these spiritual feelings. I talked about this more in depth in a sermon I gave about a year ago on making sense of awe. And there's a growing number of psychologists and neuroscientists studying this topic these days. It is interesting and important work, but ultimately, I'm not sure it matters when it comes to what we do with the spiritual feelings we experience. Scientists have named our current geologic epoch the Anthropocene, literally the age of humans, because for the first time in the history of our planet, the products of human activity are altering the very chemistry of the planet and impacting the biosphere. It is unprecedented that a single species, humans, has become the main source of planetary level change. For us to survive as a species for much longer and to begin to reverse our negative impacts, we need science and religion to become even more complementary forces in the world. Tempering our science with the moral reflection that religion can offer is crucial, and so is reinvigorating our religions with scientific understanding. We need both, and they can be part of one integrated whole. And as we learn more and more about the complexity of ecosystems and the sometimes surprising and intricate relationships between species, it is teaching us that we need to move beyond silo thinking in general. I think the future lies in more cross-discipline approaches in almost any area of exploration. Already you see universities offering programs with names like integral studies. It is wonderful to imagine what the future may hold for humanity if we learn to think like an ecosystem, cross-pollinating ideas across scientific disciplines, and balancing ideas from both science and religion. Our Unitarian Universalist faith is proof that science and religion can be complementary ways of knowing, and each can contribute to a rich spiritual life. Religion does not require belief in the supernatural, nor does it need to rely on foundational truth propositions that leave it vulnerable to skepticism when science contradicts old beliefs. And as an individual, you don't have to struggle with untenable beliefs that contradict science to be a deeply religious person. Nor must you disavow your belief in God or most other religious ideas to embrace a scientific worldview. And if you do come to a place in your spiritual journey where you feel the contradiction between an aspect of your faith and science is simply a bridge too far, you may have to make a reasoned decision that forces a crisis of faith. But that, too, is part of the spiritual journey. And it is sometimes that dark night of the soul in times of doubt that opens us to incredible spiritual insight. Unitarian Universalists don't claim to have all the answers, but we do embrace science as a bedrock of how we understand the world. And since we do not hold anyone to a creedal test to be part of our communities, this is a faith that encourages the individual search for truth and meaning, whether it comes from spiritual wisdom or science. Living in awe is something we could all do well to embrace, no matter what the source of that awe is for us. To deny our capacity for the experience of spirituality is to deny a significant part of being human. We are all curious creatures, getting to know the world into which we were born. Science is a natural result of that curiosity about the universe. And I believe it is nothing short of an ongoing revelation of the sacred mystery at the heart of creation. I invite you to rise in body or spirit once again and join in singing our closing hymn, number 175, We Celebrate the Web of Life. Our closing words come from the book Our Life as Gaia by Joanna Macy. Come back with me into a story we all share, whose rhythm beats in us still. This story belongs to each of us, like the beat of a drum, like the heartbeat of our living universe. There is science now to construct the story of the journey we have made on this earth, the story that connects us with all beings. There is also great yearning and a great need to own that story, to break out of our isolation as persons and as a species and recover through that story our larger identity. The challenge to do that now and burst out of the separate prison cells of our contriving is perhaps the most wonderful aspect of being alive today. Right now on our planet, we need to remember that story, to harvest and taste it, for we are in a hard time, a fearful time. And it is the knowledge of the bigger story that is going to carry us through. It can give us the courage. It can give us the strength. It can give us the hilarity to dance our people into a world of sanity. Let us remember it together.
We will now extinguish our chalice. The words are written in your order of service if you'd like to recite them along with me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please join us for coffee and conversation following the service in the room next door. Be safe and be well.